Hey guys, it's Julian. I'm here wearing my Ratvenger shirt. I haven't worn it in a while and I felt the need. I'm also here with that delightful ambient hum that is both my sump pump and my furnace running at the same time. Living in Wisconsin is a blast. Today we're here to talk about critics. You love them. You probably hate them. What is up with critics? I'm a fan of critics, and not just because I am one, and so it always strikes me as a little bit weird when I'll be talking to a friend on Facebook about a new movie that they were excited to go see, and I'll just offhandedly mention, oh yeah, a couple of movie critics that I watch really liked it, and they'll be like, what are you doing listening to critics? Never listen to critics. But as someone who critiques books for fun and not profit, I feel like we should sit down and talk about critics. Why we hate them, why we might not need to hate them quite so much. So first of all, I want to discuss why do we hate critics. The first thing that I always hear is, well, why do you get to decide what's good or bad? Now here's the thing about a good critic. They don't decide what's good or bad. They just decide what they like or don't like. Many parts of art are not objectively good or bad. You can definitely look at things like, say, with a movie critic and go, that cinematography was amateurish or poorly done, or the visual story that they're trying to tell was not conveyed. Those elements can be said to be bad. But you can't just look at a movie as a whole and decide, that's bad because one person's trash is another person's treasure. Another complaint I hear about critics, well, if you're so smart, why don't you go make a movie? Ha, I bet you can't. Or why don't you go write a book then? You haven't written a book, you don't get to decide what's good in a book. And the final complaint that I hear about critics is they don't like the thing that you like. If a critic doesn't like your favorite thing, you're about ready to dismiss them outright. Their opinion doesn't matter. So now let's talk about why we should give critics a chance. First of all, I want to address that point of if you can't do it yourself, then you can't criticize it. That's a little bit silly. Certainly there are some things that you could definitely have a better understanding of if you do it yourself, but you can understand something deeply without doing it yourself. You can research, you can study, you can learn, and you can definitely mold and form your own personal tastes without having to make a movie or write a book. And even though I do write books, I hate this notion that anyone who wants to critique my books would have to write them themselves. That's silly. For one thing, I don't want all that competition. And for another, you can completely understand what's working and what isn't working in a book without having to write them yourselves. Now, writing them yourself could be helpful for you to gain a different perspective. And definitely writing them myself has allowed me to be even more critical. But that doesn't mean that if I didn't write books myself that I couldn't form valid opinions and share them with the world about the books that I read. So here's the key to critics. Find the ones for you. For example, I follow two fairly popular movie critics here on YouTube, and they have very different tastes. But I like to follow both of them because A, when their tastes intersect, I know I'm probably really going to like that movie, and B, it gives me two different angles on a movie. One is a lot more mainstream, and they like the things that, you know, my lizard brain's probably going to like. Big explosions, cool looking visuals, a story that's fairly easy to follow. The other one is a lot more critical and thoughtful and dissects the movies, and so when I watch them both talking about a movie, I can put that information together to decide whether I think that movie is going to be one that I want to spend money on. When it comes to books, I follow several booktubers who I don't share tastes with. But I like their style, for one thing. And the other thing is, if they say, I didn't like a book for this, this, and this reasons, it's still useful to me because I can go, those are the exact reasons that I would like this book. So it's still helpful even if I'm finding somebody who doesn't have the same taste as me. Rather than going, how dare they not like this book that I like? It's more like, I use their dislike of something to gauge whether I'm going to like it or not. And I've seen people even do that with my critiques of books, where they're like, your critique made me want to read it more. And I'm like, good, go read it. If it seems like it's gonna be fun for you, read that book. What value do critics bring to the table? Why do we even have critics? I have some bullet points. Critics can help us manage our expectations, at least for me. Sometimes I have been known to get way overhyped for something and become deeply disappointed when it doesn't turn out as I had hoped. But if I watch a couple of spoiler-free videos by critics talking about it beforehand, I can manage my expectations and spend a lot less time disappointed in the thing I was looking forward to. Which brings us to our next bullet point, helping you decide what media you want to ingest. Because there is so much out in the world, so many movies, way too many books to ever read in a lifetime. Even if you read one book a day, you would not get through all of the books. So we have to be a bit selective with the media that we consume simply because we just can't consume all of it. So a critic can help us decide where to best spend our time. A critic also gives us a starting point. Like if I'm not sure what I'm feeling, what I'm interested in, right now I could watch a critic and maybe they could help me narrow that down. Give me a starting point, maybe give me some books or movies or something that, or video games that I might be interested in. And finally, entertainment. Critics are entertaining. Who doesn't love to watch a good rant video tearing something apart? Okay, some people don't love that. Some people are baffled by why I like that. Sometimes I'm just in the mood for a good, deeply critical video, and I know a lot of people feel the same way. So those are my thoughts on why critics. Why do we even have them? But what do you guys think? Do you love critics? Do you hate critics? Do you avoid my book reviews because you don't want to hear things criticized? Do you think that criticizing things is harmful and we should only ever praise things? Or are you in camp, sometimes it's just fun to tear something apart? Did you guys like this video? If you did, there are so many more here on the channel to watch, or if you want brand new videos, they come out every Monday and Friday. And if you can't get enough and you want even more videos, you can support me on Patreon, where for as little as $1 a month, you can see even more exclusive videos not seen here on the regular channel ever. All the links to my social media are down in the doobly-doo for ease of your clicking, and I will see you again next time with whatever it is I happen to be doing next time. Bye!
What's that? You say you want to hear about patrons? Well, have I got some patrons for you. They are Adrienne, Lennox, Amanda, Irene, Jenny, Jesper, Lisa, Ryakio, Sabby Panda, Savvy, Scribbling Cat, and Zaire. Isn't that the best bunch of patrons you have ever heard of in your whole life? Don't tell me what to do. You've already said that we are through. I'm a page that you have turned, and I'm no longer your concern. So don't tell me what to do.